I use quite a bit myself when I'm trying to quickly see how a class did on a test. Like for your last test, somewhere, I don't know where I put it now, I have a dot plot for how the class did. And it's a quick way to see a fairly detailed visual of where everybody is on the spectrum of grades. And you can quickly see, are there a lot more in the passing than the non-passing? Are there a lot of A's and a lot of F's and very few people in the middle? Well, then something happened. Either it was a section that you either get or you don't get it, or it's a scenario of half your class came in knowing the material already, and you know what that would indicate, okay? So the dot plot lets you quickly see how a class is doing on a test. It also lets you see, oh, wow, there's only maybe a couple who aren't getting it. Did I not pay attention to what was going on? Should I stay more in tune to certain individuals? Those kinds of things quickly stand out on a dot plot, and there's no calculation involved in a dot plot. So it's another quick visual for a set of data. All right, so you have exam grades for a bunch of students here, and we're going to make a dot plot for these students. Give yourself plenty of room for the dot plot. Okay, make sure you give enough detail that you don't spend forever trying to put things in the correct location. Okay, we're going to scan that list and look for the lowest score there. What's the lowest score that you see?
51.
Okay, 51. So that means I'm going to start at 50. And then I'm going to put a tick mark for every possible score. All right, so don't take tons of room, but at the same time, don't shortchange yourself along either. So, okay, 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. There's 60. 10, there's 70. 10, there's 80. And I'm drawing this larger on the board than what you'd have to on your paper. 90. And 100. With a little extra space in case somebody scored over 100. Okay, now all the scores are represented. The highest score on here, I always take it up to 100 because most of the time there's going to be somebody who scored between 90 and 100 somewhere. At least we hope somebody will. So find the lowest score, that's your starting point, and then take it all the way up to 100. Okay. And then you just start at the top of the data and you just start putting, I usually put an X because it's faster for me than actually trying to draw a dot and shade it in all nice and pretty. So we're going to go up to 84 and put a mark there. And Brielle had a 93, so we're going to go to 93 and put an X there. Carol had a 92, and so on. And just keep going, putting these dots in their respective places. Eugene had a 61, had a 90. And from there, I'm going to quit saying them and let you just start putting the dots in place. I'll continue up here, and let's just see where we're at the end. Okay, once you think you've got them all on there, because you're doing a lot of back and forth, I would encourage you to do a quick count. Count how many students were there. If you were doing this for your own classroom to get a quick visual of how students had scored on the exam. By the way, this is not the results of your last exam with new names attached, okay? I wouldn't do that to you guys. This is just completely made up data with using Excel to generate random numbers is what I did. So anyway, if you were to do this for your class, you would know how many students are in the class, so make sure you have that many dots, okay? That way you make sure you didn't miss somebody on there. But then you can quickly do a quick check of the class. Do you have a pretty average set of data for that? And you can compare that through a semester to decide, okay, how are the students doing in general? Is there been improvement? Are things getting worse, better, whatever, okay? And just because of me, I usually put my break in this right here, but that's because of the setting that I teach in. Because for many people in the classes that I teach, anything below that grade right there is not going to help them progress. They may pass my course, but it's not going to help them progress in their degree programs. Okay, so for me, that's kind of my break, and I try not to have too many people overall below that line. But that lets me quickly see how things are going. And then I can start delving deeper into specific tests, seeing where are things going wrong, what can be improved, those kinds of things. But it's just a quick way to look at your data and see how things are going. Okay, another fast method that doesn't require a lot of calculation. That's why I like this section, because it gives you a lot of ways to look at a set of data that with something that you can do quickly to get a quick visual without doing a lot of calculating. And I think that's important to you, especially as a teacher. These are all methods that I have used, well, except for the pictograph. I'm not into drawing fancy pictures if I just want to see how my classes are doing. But anyway, the dot plot and now these stem and leaf plots. Both are very helpful to me. Normally, if I have to do an ordered stem and leaf, I'll draw a stem and leaf plot first. Now, these are very similar to a dot plot, except the number line is vertical instead of horizontal. And you only use the range of values for what you have in the data. So in this case, I only have numbers in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. So when I try to draw a stem and leaf, and this first one will not be ordered, it'll just be a stem and leaf. I'm going to put the vertical bar, and then I'm going to put from 50s all the way to 90s, because that's the only values I have in my data. Okay, now I'm going to use the same set of exam scores, and I'm doing this intentionally because this is going to show you 3 different visuals for the same data. Then you can decide which one of these things to make the most sense for you. I'm hoping that in this lesson we're equipping you with tools that you can really use someday when you go on into your careers, okay? So 6, 7, 8, and 9. So that's 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. So on this side of that bar, you have the tens value. Now on the other side, we're going to put whatever digit is in the ones. And I'm going to go straight through the data with what we have. The first value is an 84. So I'm going to go to the 80s and put a 4. Okay, then Brielle has a 93. So I'm going to go to the 90s and put a 3. Now I'm going to try to be careful as I build this to make sure I keep things lined up neatly, because then it'll give you a better idea of what's happening here. So then I have a 92, so I put a 2 right there. So now in the 90s I have a 93 and a 92. Devin has a 51. Eugene is a 61. Then we have a 90, 94. 87. Notice how I'm trying to keep them in nice, neat columns here. It gives it more of a resemblance of what a histogram or a bar graph would look like turned on its side. Okay, you continue. We'll see if we have the same things when we get done.